Hey everyone, I'm going to give you a quick overview of a game called Legendary. This is based on the Marvel Universe. We are going to be different superheroes tackling the villains. It is a deck building game. If you want to take a look at the board here, I'll show you what I have set up. So this is a very large board here, and there's a lot going on. So first of all, we start off with a mastermind. In this case, we're going to be fighting Magneto. He's the main bad guy that we're trying to bring down. And I'll get to that a little bit later, but there's other masterminds you can fight as well. Up here we have what's called a scheme twist. There's a bunch of these cards in the deck, and this kind of basically tells you some nasty things that the mastermind is going to be doing to us. And it also gives you kind of the how you're going to win or lose the game. At the bottom here we have some cards. These are just a shield officer, and I'll explain that a little bit later. This is a starting hand or starting deck for one player. So each player would get this. There are shield troopers and shield agents. And I'll just kind of point out on here, you can see there's a number 1 with a little slash through it there. And that means how much damage you can do with this particular card. Over here, this card has a 1 and a star. And that means you look at that as money or currency. So this is worth $1, if you will, to buy other cards. And I'll come back to that in a bit. Up here, we have our wound deck. Wounds are not good for us. We have our bystanders, which are going to be taken hostage with some of the baddies that are going to be coming in through the city. This is the villain deck. If we get through this deck, if it gets all the way through and we haven't beat the mastermind, it's sort of a tie. We kind of won, but the mastermind got away. So, and these are all bad cards that are going to come out. And I'm just going to take you down to the bottom here and show you what the deck is made up of. So there are a bunch of different options you can. What I picked is 2 villain groups, which I picked Radiation guys. So that's Abomination there and some other baddies that come along with him. This is called the Brotherhood, and this is who Magneto always leads. So we've got Sabretooth and Juggernaut and those kind of guys in that deck. And then we have sort of a henchman deck or cards, and this is the Sentinels. And I picked that one just because it goes well with these other cards here. And if you look at the bottom here, it's got the 5 with a slash on it. That's how much damage you have to do to this card in order to beat this guy. And there's some other stuff in here that he'll do when he enters into the city and stuff like that. And I won't go into great detail about that. But that's what the main bad guys are in that deck. Now over here, also shuffled into that deck are some bystanders. And when they come out, they'll be taken hostage either by those baddies I just showed you or the mastermind. There's also these other cards called a Master Strike. And so when that comes out, that means Magneto is going to inflict one of his major plans upon the city. So these are really bad cards to have come out. And then we have the Scheme Twist. And that will trigger that other Scheme Twist card I showed you. And again, it's always a bad thing to have happen. And here we have our hero deck. These are all the good cards that we have. And it's made up of 5 different random heroes. So just to show you here, I got Wolverine in there, and Captain America, Iron Man, Spiderman, and Thor. Now, I just put these out on purpose, just to show you what heroes I have in there. These would obviously be shuffled in this deck and it would come out randomly. So we could have had 3 Spider-Man and 1 Captain America and 1 Wolverine, for example, okay? So in order to, on your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to shuffle up your deck of cards there, and you're going to pick 6 cards for your hand randomly to make up your hand. So you have 6 cards in your hand. And depending on what you have, you can purchase one of these cards. So in order to purchase this Thor card, for example, you would need 3 money or 3 stars down here. Okay, and then you would take this card and you would put it into your discard pile. You can see there you go, you've got 2, 3, 4, and this one's a real expensive one. This one costs $8 for Wolverine. And they would go into your discard pile. And then once you buy a card, so let's say we buy this Captain America card, it would go into our discard pile, we would just automatically replace it with another card. So here we have another Wolverine card, and it's a lot cheaper, $2. And they all have different combinations on there, different powers. And again, I won't get into all that because it gets a bit confusing, but you want to kind of set up combos. Some cards work well with each other. And then when you go to draw another 6 cards from your deck and you don't have any more cards to draw, you'd take your discard pile and you would shuffle it all over again, and then you would start all over. So as the game goes on, even though you're starting only with 12 cards in your deck, eventually your deck will get a lot more cards and it'll be a lot more powerful cards. All right? So that's one of the things you can do is you can buy one of these cards. Another thing you're going to have happen, these bad guys are going to be coming into the city. So they start off in the sewers, and they're going to move into the bank, then they go to the rooftops and then the streets and then to the bridge. If they're not defeated after that, they actually escape, which is not a good thing for the team. So this guy has come into the sewers. It's a sentinel. Again, he'll have a special effect here when you go to fight him. And so in order to defeat this guy, we need 3 hit points there. So you need 3 of these cards right off the bat to able to knock him out. Once you do that, that would go into what's called a victory pile. And at the end of the game, you just tally that up. And so there's a victory point. So even though this game is cooperative, there's really one winner at the end of the game once you add up all the victory points and see who beat the most baddies. All right? So you have a choice of buying a card, a hero card, adding to your deck, fighting the baddie here, or you can even fight the mastermind. And again, he's got an 8, so you need 8 points in order to beat him. When you beat him, you take one of these cards. He's got 4 cards underneath him here. And you take one of these, and they're generally good cards for this guy. There are some masterminds that the cards aren't good, but once all the 4 cards have been defeated, so if everybody beat this guy 4 times, then you win the game. And that's just about it. Why would you like this game? Well, if you enjoy the Marvel Universe, if you're into comics or into the movies, I think you'll kind of dig it. There's a lot of other heroes that we have too. We have the Hulk. There's a lot of the X-Men, Cyclops, and that kind of thing. There's other bad guys. We have the Spider Foes, for example, and stuff like that. But even if you're not familiar with the Marvel Universe, it doesn't really matter because it's pretty straightforward with what you do. You're just buying cards. The text on it is pretty straightforward as to what that card does. It is a cooperative game, so whether you like working together or not, it's good that way. The game takes a little bit long to play. It's maybe about 45 minutes, but it's a lot of fun. So if you're interested in playing Legendary Marvel Heroes, let me know. I'll bring it to the table. Thanks. Bye-bye.